All right, here we are. Battle of listing sites. Zillow is banning pocket listings while Home.com is allowing them. We're going to take a deep dive.
Homes.com.
Homes.com.
Hey, everybody.
Sean and Kelly here, Price and Price Group of Samson Properties, and Kelly is back, and so happy to have you back.
Thank you. I'm so happy. Like, it's been crazy.
It's been a weird first quarter. It's been very sporadic. You know what? And I've missed you, and I've probably been boring everybody with the market reports because it's just been simple.
Did you hear how long I had like a conversation with my office BFF?
I did.
Yeah,
he's missed you too.
I missed everybody. Okay.
All right.
So we're doing a whole new article review, right?
Yes.
I think it's like the new crazy going on in real estate. I don't know how many of you guys out there really know, unless you're agents or brokers.
Yeah.
But if you don't know yet, you're about to know. So we're just going to kind of introduce what's up.
And this isn't just a story in real estate. It does affect you as a buyer and a seller. So you do want to pay attention to this because
especially a seller.
Yeah, and if this continues to play out, it's going to affect what your choices are with who you work with.
Yeah. We've kind of taken a step back.
Yep. Okay. All right. So first thing we need to do is we need to explain what a pocket listing is. Okay. So we're going to go through the three different levels of listings that a seller can opt for.
Can I like not let us start there? Can I let us start at a different starting point?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's going to be setting the groundwork.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Like when you're out there and you're we the people. You love going on Zillow and you trust that you're going to see everything you want to see on Zillow, right?
Great
it's like
place to start.
House porn. Like I'm doing it all. I know how to click the button for FSBOs.
And it's not just Zillow. Redfin is also doing the same thing Zillow's doing. So this is,
I click a button to see all the for sale by owners or FSBOs. And then I click the button and I see coming soons and I see this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I see it all. I can go to different states. Okay, I can go on and on.
Yep.
So we're talking to you who loves that, whether the estimates are right or not.
Right.
And now you're about to find out that you're not going to see everything out there.
That's right.
So that is the stage set.
That's a great place to start.
Because Zillow is saying, we're not going to put this on there.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
So what is it that they're saying they're not going to put on?
Yes.
They are not going to put on a pocket listing.
Yes.
Okay. So what is a pocket listing? What is, from your understanding, what would you say a pocket listing is?
Okay, this is different than what I thought it was back in the old days. In the old days, I thought a pocket listing was kind of like what we all know, like we have the contacts with sellers and it's like, okay, we know this person will sell at the right price, right? But there's no listing agreement or anything. It's just kind of like somebody we had in our back pocket.
Yeah.
That's not what it actually is.
Correct.
What it actually is only agent. It is a listing agreement, a bona fide contract listing agreement.
Okay, so let's use me as this listing agent.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll say Bob is the client.
Yes.
So I have a signed listing agreement with Bob.
Yes.
Okay.
And you work for Samson Properties, your brokerage, right? So if you have this listing, only agents within your brokerage are allowed to see that you have this listing and market it to their clients, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So what is bringing all of this up into the public eye is there's a pretty large nationwide brokerage that has started a private listing network, which it means that their sellers have an option of only marketing their property as a pocket listing. And the brokerage is marketing this as a huge benefit to the seller because they have also exclusivity and so on and so forth. And what is ended up happening, and they're saying that they're doing about 30 to 35% of their transactions are happening within that exclusive network.
Which is great for the brokerage.
Yes. And why is that great for the brokerage?
Because they're double fisting, right?
Yeah, double ending it. Double fisting. So
I like food.
If the commission stays inside the brokerage, then the seller commission and the buyer commission, the two agents get different commissions, but the brokerage gets their compensation from both buyer and seller.
Okay, can I give you a fun, terrible fact on that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so you guys all probably know everything we've just gone through with NVAR and the compensation of what we cannot share. Right, it's all negotiable. Right, we went through this. Right, like the seller pay buyer commissions.
Yep.
Guess what?
What?
In pocket listings, they're sharing.
They're sharing because it's not publicly facing. It's not on the multiple listing service. Nobody else is seeing it except for people in that brokerage.
Now we've heard from sellers who interviewed agents from this, and they're like, so they bring us really pretty books, but I wonder, why would I want to only market my property to a small amount of people?
We're going to get into that. Well, they're pitching it in a way that you're looking at exclusive people, and you're going to get top dollar for all this.
Okay.
And the other thing with it is that there are some benefits to some sellers. So like we live in an area where we have a lot of high profile people. So if you're a high profile person that privacy is important, that pocket listing option may be of benefit.
When COVID was in full force, and maybe you had little kids or whatever, it's like with health problems. What was it? They did a study. It was like 0.01% of people this would actually be a benefit to, which is great. Like,
that's great.
Right.
And the only other option I can think of is if, let's say, a seller is considering remodeling a property, and they want to test and see what can we get it in the current condition without going to the market, without people seeing it in bad condition. They may be able to get something they can work with, or if not, then they can then turn later.
So as a test, yes, right?
As a test.
As a test. Thing is I do want to hit on this, is over the last couple of weeks, maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks, since this has gotten really big, some agents, I've had no fewer than 3 emails from agents from this specific brokerage who are marketing their listing to me, not in that brokerage, sharing the compensation, right?
Yep.
So word on the street is that even some of these agents are realizing we don't really want to do this.
Yeah, we can't. But that's what our brokerage is making us offer.
Now, they weren't allowed to do this just like sharing it to everyone because it's a pocket listing, but because I was in their database with having done deals with them before or whatever, then they were allowed to share it with me because we had like there's like a technical term for when you can share with whom.
Yeah. So our understanding is what Zillow and Redfin are saying is that if a property is put into this pocket listing or private exclusive network listing status, that they will not accept that when it does go public. That property will not be allowed on their sites. And there's a reason why they're doing this, and we'll get into that here in a few minutes.
So like they're taking their ball and going home, or
they're
what?
taking their ball and going home. They're not playing with them. And we're gonna dive into opinions on this, but we're gonna lay out the other couple layers as well.
Yeah, because I don't know if that's actually going to happen, right?
Right.
Because if Zillow's such a cool kid, some people might be like, "Oh no, don't take your ball. Like, come play with us."
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
So
yeah,
let's
so
keep
Zillow
going.
is trying to keep this from becoming a thing.
Okay.
All right.
So it is extremely limited exposure, right?
Very limited exposure.
And can be good for a very few number of people.
That's right.
Okay.
Next is what's called, it's a new process, and this is kind of what, like, this new NAR policy that came out called delay marketing MLS listing only is what kind of started this whole conversation and put this brokerage, I almost said it, into the situation. So basically, delayed marketing MLS only is if a seller wants to kind of test it a little bit and put it only on the multiple listing service, so that only agents that are members of the multiple listing service and their clients can see it.
Right.
That's, again, it's a little more limited exposure. It's a little limited exposure, but it's still more than a pocket listing because all brokerages can see it that are in that multiple listing service.
Or the clients whose agents have set up searches for them in the MLS, right?
But these will not be seen on Zillow or Redfin at this stage.
And I want to point out that the MLS is a bit janky.
Yeah. So
we don't even set our clients up for searches in there. We use a whole different syndicated site that's better.
An extremely,
So
they're very, very
you guys
few.
are going to hate having your search criteria brought up, like listings sent to you from the MLS. It's
very few agents actually use this search engine. So again, this is going to be limited exposure, but the agents will be able to see it. It'll come up to the agents in their
which is huge, right?
Yeah.
But you don't get your late night scrolling on Zillow and get to see absolutely everything. I'm currently doing this for trucks right now. So if you have like a Ford F-150
or a Tundra
or a Toyota Tundra for sale, please let me know. It doesn't have to be new, and it has to be under 200,000 miles.
All right, anyway, we're going to move on.
Under 150 for the Ford.
Okay, so
you can get that out of there.
I'm gonna leave it because you might get a hit.
What if I buy a truck?
And she's not looking till August.
But if I find it now.
All right, next is fully syndicated. So fully syndicated is what you love, and that's when
I
actually we all love this. This is full
yes.
exposure to the
That's
seller.
what you love,
Yes,
Zillow lookers.
that's right. It's full
Yes.
exposure to the market. Buyers can see everything that's out there. Sellers are all getting full exposure, so they can
Yeah.
bring it to people's attention. They don't have to have an agent if they want to contact or reach out.
Yeah.
And so this is where the benefit of that full marketing can happen.
Right.
And so this is where and what Zillow is saying is they're saying that if you choose to go with a pocket listing with your brokerage, they are not going to allow you later to decide to come
Right.
on and get that full syndication. And Redfin is saying that as well.
Yeah, Zillow, Redfin, like we're kind of lumping the two of them.
Yeah.
Even if we just say Zillow or Redfin, they're kind of
Yep.
in bed together. But let me point out, so one of the thoughts was, well, then how are they going to know if it was a pocket listing to like redline them, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Which is not allowed.
yeah. Redline is
real
not
estate.
allowed. Yeah, but they're not real estate agents. Anyway, that's a whole other subject.
So how would they know? Well, the reason they would know, because the multiple listing service, even if it's a pocket listing, we're still required to put it in and have certain
authorizations and
disclosures
Yeah.
signed,
Yep.
right? So it won't be there, but I'm guessing they have some sort of way to
Yeah, they find out.
know that
Yeah.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
If they've got it, so that's how they would know. And
Yeah. So the question is, if Zillow, why would Zillow tell them, hey, we're not going to let these people come onto our website when Zillow is there for exposure?
right,
I have a theory. First of all, I'm glad Zillow and Redfin are doing this, because if you play this out, if the private pocket listing thing becomes a big deal,
yeah,
then we're going to go back to the 1980s, which you and I were not agents back in the 80s. But from what we understand,
I was a baby.
you were a baby. Yeah, you were like 6.
No, I was. Well,
Yeah, part of it. Yeah. From what we understand, it used to be that our office, Sampson Properties, would have a list of properties that we had listed, and we would only show those to our clients that were buyers of Sampson Properties. Keller Williams down the street, their 300 agents would have their little book of listings. I said little. All the brokerages would
no
have
offense, we love you, KW.
individual books of listings, so buyers wouldn't have access to everything that was on the market, and sellers wouldn't have access to all the buyers.
But wait, why are you happy about this?
No, because that's how this would play out. If pocket listings became a thing and it carried out into all the brokerages, we would
Yeah.
go back to the 80s where we couldn't have access to everything. So
Right.
Zillow and Redfin, I support what they're doing, even though I think they have other intentions, because they're actually trying to keep that from happening. They're trying to keep people from doing pocket listings to keep them going onto the market full force.
But Errol, what's his name? Samuelson or something from Zillow. Didn't he say, hey, let me clear up the confusion. Here's what we are allowing. And there were all these bullet points that
Yeah.
described basically that they were allowing everything. I mean, there's all kinds of.
Everything. So this gets very detailed, very convoluted, and gets very confusing. So we're not going to go into all that detail. We're
but
just going to
there's
talk about the
something,
general.
right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of pointing out that you're probably going to hear, no, this person said this person said that, my
Yes.
agent said this. It's like there's a whole lot that's like moving and people saying one thing and then taking
Yeah.
it back. And so I'm
Yeah,
introducing
absolutely.
for a reason.
Okay. All right. So full transparency. So Zillow is saying that they're doing this because they want to encourage full transparency. They want to encourage free market
we all
where
love.
everybody. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that the reason Zillow is really doing it is because their business model is based on having those properties on that website,
Yeah.
and then when somebody clicks on a property to go see it, they
Yeah.
sell that information to agents.
Yes,
So
if you've
that's their
watched
business
one of our
model.
recent market reports, we explained what the Zillow business is
Yeah,
about, and
exactly.
they make their money from agents like us buying
contacts
and
Yeah.
leads and everything. So
Yeah.
that's how. And if
If
they
they're-
lose their leads, then we're not going to pay as much. in
Yeah,
their
because
business
if their
as we
house
do.
count starts going down and so on.
That's a fact,
Now,
Jack.
why is Homes.com allowing it? Okay, because Zillow and Redfin are saying no, but Homes.com is saying yes. Well,
Yeah.
Homes.com is saying that's because they think that sellers should have a choice. They should have a choice of exposure, which they do. They do throughout this whole process. But Homes.com's business model is that they charge sellers agents to like $2,000 to put a listing on their website, and then when the buyer goes and clicks on it, it goes to the seller's agent. So their model is different. Their
Yes,
model
so they
is completely
make their money
different.
from getting listings.
They make their money from the seller's agents putting it on. So they're going to
Okay.
allow these people that do pocket listings.
They're
They
like,
don't lose anything.
all
if they
day,
go and
every
put it
day,
on.
bruh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it comes down to business models and so on and so forth. But the simple fact of the matter is, I think that the right answer is that we still continue to have full transparency And it looks like Zillow and Redfin's policy
Yeah.
may encourage that.
You only ever have to follow the money to see what anybody's intentions are,
That's
right?
100% right. Yep.
Okay, so did you say our opinion?
Yeah.
Great.
I said it like 3 times. Do you agree with our opinion? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
If you say so, baby.
Yeah, that's right. If you guys have any questions or if this caused confusion, reach out to us because this is it's a very confusing arena
we have
right
questions
now.
too. And like we said, things are changing.
Yeah, and it changes. Yeah. So let us know if you have any questions. This is important for sellers and buyers both to understand because it's critical with who you're choosing to work with if these things become a huge deal. So any questions on that, reach out to us. We're happy to, have a buyer consultation with you, walk through the entire process, or a seller consultation as well at no charge. And our number is 703.
I don't know it.
I just went blank. 703-783-2143. Oh my gosh. If that number is different than what comes up, follow the number that comes up. All right. We'll see
but
you
can
guys
trust
next
us. Like we're
on this.
Bye. Hey everybody.
Sean and Kelly here, Price and Price Group of Sampson Properties, and we are about to take charge and do our
market snapshot.
Yes, what's happened in the Northern Virginia real estate market in the last 7 days in under 5 minutes. Here we go.
All right, everybody, as usual, the squiggly black line, that is the buyer activity. That's how many homes have gone under contract in the last 7 days.
Yep.
The teal line, that is the seller activity. That's how many homes have been listed, right, to come on the market in the last 7 days.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about that, or then can I go to the next one? I forgot.
You can go to the next one.
Okay. And then the bottom graph, woohoo, woohoo, we're in a buyer's market.
We were this week.
That's cool.
That is cool.
Okay, I'm sure you're going to talk a lot about it. Okay, so the middle line, that is like an even market, right? And then if anything above it is a seller's market, anything below it is a buyer's market. So, wow.
Yeah. All right, so let's dive into this a little bit.
Okay.
We talked last week about, with it being spring break, the buyer activity dropping dramatically and inventory stayed about the same. Now, I pulled these statistics on a Wednesday. So this report right here was half the week of spring break, and this report that we're on now contains the second half of the spring break week.
Okay.
So
well, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, so buyer activity did increase that second half of the week, and then actually it probably increased the beginning of this week. So anyway, half of this, the buyer activity did increase. Inventory shot up, which we kind of expected to shoot up, but look how much higher it is currently than it was last year at this time. So we do have a lot more inventory on the market, so buyers have choices.
And sellers, that means your home really needs to be staged.
Yes.
Pay attention to the condition, right? Don't expect it like, oh my gosh, we made it through the first weekend and you're going to be alarmed and want to like think your agent sucks or whatever.
Yeah,
you just need to stage it better.
We just went through the mastermind, and that we have a lot of properties that are going through the full 10 days, 14 days. It's got to present well, so it means staging and
because now you're competing.
Yes, right. You are competing against other houses, absolutely.
Yeah,
and it has to be priced right. You cannot price it based on pricing 4 months ago. You have to price it based on today's pricing.
That's true.
Yeah,
you might have regrets.
You might have regrets.
That you didn't sell sooner, but it is what it is.
So currently, the inventory, the teal line, this is our supply, and then our demand is down here. So for the first time in a long time, last time I did it was right here, the demand is lower than the supply. So that actually put us down into a buyer's market for this last week. Now,
and that was only when school was starting back up.
Yeah, that was in that lull. That's right, and it crossed over here as well. So what does this mean for the market? It means right now, if you're a buyer, it's a fantastic time to get out there. We don't know if this trend is going to continue. I have a feeling it's going to get more into a neutral market. It's probably going to be a weak seller's market.
Yeah.
But you buyers, now is the time, because if the interest rates do drop a little bit, the buyer activity is going to flood.
Yeah. And you have some choices. You can get contingencies.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to be stressed. You can actually take a night to think about something, right? Okay, so this is going to be good.
Yeah, and sellers, you can still get top dollar as long as you present the house properly. Yeah. It's a good market. It's a healthy, calm market right now for everybody.
Yeah.
So, all right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at 703-783-2143. And if you'd like to talk about your personal situation, we'd be happy to sit down with you at no charge.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, talk to you guys next week. Very sure. I'm sure of it. All right, see you guys next week.
Bye. Hey, Hi, everybody. It is finally time once again to meet with Tatiana, I believe, Lopez for our Mortgage Minute. Hello.
Hey, Tatiana.
Hola.
That's some hat you got there, amiga.
I know. Well, just to let you know, this is all I know in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. For those who
I don't know. You
wonder,
did pretty good
yeah.
last night with the Vaquila.
Yeah.
What kilo?
Yeah.
Yeah, so happy almost Cinco de Mayo, right?
Yep. Yep.
So that's
Yes.
why I have this hat. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it off so everybody would start taking me seriously.
Now it's time to get done with it.
That's the hat I need when I'm out by the pool, like
Yes.
protect the skin everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, so tell us about rates. What is going on?
It's been a while. Yeah, tell us what's been happening.
It's been a while. Let me see.
Yeah.
Share my
I was hoping that
screen.
was like your good news hat for rates.
Yeah, so the interest rates actually they went down slightly in the past week. For a couple of weeks they were going up. We had a pretty significant jump a few weeks ago, probably by 0.5%. So it's going down some. Conventional is at 6.92. Jumbo is at 6.63. So jumbo is lower than conventional. It's historically they low. Lower. Remember, at one point they were actually higher. Oh, we can
Yeah.
see it right here. So light blue is jumbo. So it's right here. They were actually well somewhere. I don't know why it's not showing here. Maybe because it goes just back to January. I think last year, I remember we were talking about it, that this pink was actually over the blue, which is conventional.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so jumbos are lower. I see more jumbos. I quote more jumbos to clients. So remember that in our area, jumbo can be anything above 802, 650. In our area, I mean in like metropolitan area, Washington DC metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Fairfax, Loudoun, Prince William, Montgomery, Prince George, like all like surrounding areas, even Fauquier. When you go farther out, then it's the limits are a little bit lower. Frederick County, it's already lower limits, but once you're at 802, 651, you can actually do a jumbo, or you can continue with conventional, high balance conventional up until 1.209, 750. So the difference, can I talk about that? The difference between, jumbo and conventional is jumbo typically requires more higher down payment and higher credit score, more money in reserve. So maybe not everybody who qualifies for conventional would qualify for jumbo. But if they do, then they have option of going jumbo at 802, 651. So that's good to know. So yeah, so the rates dropped slightly, but the market is still very volatile. As of right now, actually, before we got on this call, I called my client saying that I recommend him lock in. And when you closing soon, when you can lock the rate once you have a contract, right? So in the long term, maybe it's okay to wait and see what's happening, but in the short term, the volatility is so high that you can't predict what's going to happen. And we always look at 1-year treasury, a 10-year treasury yield. That's what actually the good indicator if mortgage rate is gonna go up or not. So if 10-year goes up, the interest rate is going to go up. So that's if you're watching the market and you're trying to think, you're thinking to lock or not, just keep an eye on 10-year yield, and then it will be pretty good indicator what's gonna
Okay.
happen, at least in the, today or
Near.
tomorrow with the interest rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Have you seen a change in applications? Have you seen a lot of an increase or a decrease in applications?
The applications actually they did go down slightly last week and this week. I think it's sort of they were catching up with uh, people being on spring breaks,
Yeah.
right? And then we also had Easter, and in general, I think the higher rates and uncertainties,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen with federal government employees, and it's a lot of them in our area, or people that work for government contractors. So there is a lot of uncertainties, and with
Yeah.
tariffs, how it's gonna affect the overall, prices on goods. I think
Mhm.
that makes people wait a little bit. So with that, probably, what do you see? Do you see it still seller's market or more
Well,
buyer's market?
well, if it's a little bit, it could be a little bit skewed just because of the spring break and Easter, like you said. But buyer activity this last 7 days went up, but inventory shot up, like 40% increase in inventory, and buyer activity only went up like 12%. So for this past 7 day period, we actually dipped down into a buyer's market. So we'll see if
Yeah.
it stays there or what happens as time goes on.
Yeah, and houses are sitting on the market a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like they're making it through week 1 and week 2 sometimes. So I mean, we think it's healthy.
Yeah, it's a healthier market
You know?
for buyers. Sellers probably like getting 20 offers, but they're still getting, if they present it right and they price it
Yeah.
right, they're still getting top value and they can get multiple offers, but it's just they have to actually put effort into it
Right.
and be advised appropriately versus just kind of throwing it on the market and letting everybody fight over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like your comment that it's healthier market, right? It's
Yeah.
definitely helps our buyers, and I see slowdown also in DC area. I think
DC
DC
huge.
itself is,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, we just put a client under contract in DC for the property had been on the market over 30 days. Actually, we just closed on the property, but
Yeah.
when they went under contract, it had been on the market over 30 days.
Yeah.
But the seller still got their asking price. They had another offer in hand when we put ours in. So even though it was 4 weeks on the market, they got
Yeah.
it's still good. It's just you gotta hit that sweet
Yeah.
spot and have that buyer actually see it and want it.
But this is something, so within this one buyer's search criteria, and they were only looking DC, and they were open to like Old Town area. And I think we showed them one in Old Town, Virginia, but in DC, the other 13. So in one weekend, we showed them 14 properties.
That's right.
And this one stood out and they went for it. It happened to be the very last one we showed them.
Yeah.
Because it was so well staged, and I mean it was just immaculate, and
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. So Virginia, I think, is still a lot hotter than DC for sure, and I think it's still hotter than Maryland. What are you seeing about Virginia versus Maryland?
It's hard to tell because in Maryland, I work a lot in Maryland, but it's kind of scattered. Some in Montgomery County, some in Prince George County. So, and those are completely different markets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell, but I think you're right. I think Virginia is overall is hotter, especially areas closer to DC, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
McLean, Vienna, Tysons, Arlington, all those areas,
Yeah.
Alexandria.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
Agree.
true.
Agree.
Yeah.
So
All
are
right.
you ready for a surprise?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have any
Yes.
surprises for us?
I'm gonna blow your mind.
Yay.
Let's see. All right. So, what if you are a self-employed person or and you show little on income on tax returns? You show a lot of deductions, so it reduces your income greatly. Or maybe you're in between jobs, maybe you are waiting for a job offer and you're gonna get it, but you don't have it yet. and for some reason your spouse is not eligible to be on a mortgage, or maybe you're in retirement stage and you get in some retirement income, but it might not be enough to qualify you for something. So
Yes.
what we have is, so you don't have enough income to show, but you have good credit and you have assets. So
Okay.
that could be a different story, right? So we look at three pieces of puzzle. We look income, assets, and credit. If you don't have one, like income, but you have two others, we have a solution. And solution is asset depletion utilization qualifier. So there are 12% or 41 million Americans have net worth, excluding their primary residence, of at least $1 million.
Okay.
Just like I said, retirees, teachers, government workers, self-employed, anyone with assets that actually we can use those 100% of those assets regardless of their age or where those assets are. Are they in 401k, non-liquid, right? Or they're
Yeah.
actually in the liquid accounts. We can use 100% of that asset as an income. So one example is here, the simplest method is when borrower has enough assets to cover 125% of all outstanding mortgage debt. For example, they don't have a current mortgage, right? But they're trying to get 400,000 mortgage. We multiply it by 125%, so that's 500,000. If they have 500,000 in their 401k, which a lot of people do, right? We could just use that, and we need to show, some additional for reserves, but we can use
Right.
that as income. And they don't need to show any other income. So
That's fantastic.
I'm sorry.
I said that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. So other options, couple of other methods. Method one, borrower has 100% of new loan amount plus 36 months of mortgage payment,
Okay.
monthly, 36 months of monthly credit that came up on the credit report. Like, for example, again, a loan amount is 400,000, borrower has $2,000 per month of debt on the credit report. So we multiply this $2,000 by 36 months, and we look at 400,000 loan amount plus 72,000 worth of 36 months of that monthly liabilities. So they need to show that they have $472,000 in their account. And that's
Okay.
what we will use to qualify them.
Okay.
Another option is alternative method is assets that is divided by 84 months, and we use that as income.
Okay.
So if someone has 500,000 in their retirement account, we divide it by 84 months, and it gives us $5,900, 59.52 of monthly income. So, and we can use that as income.
Right.
And the
Okay.
beauty of this program is that we actually can do a hybrid. We can mix and match. Like, for example, let's say this is somebody's actual example. Somebody has this 500,000, we divided by 84 months, and it gives us $5,900 income, but maybe it's not enough for them to qualify for a mortgage, but they also receive some other income, even that self-employed income, but it's just very small, or maybe they get retirement income. So combination of those two would be enough for them to qualify. So that's what we can use. And
Nice.
yeah, so
Yeah.
the difference, regular conventional also has this method 2 option. However, the difference is they cannot use 100% of the assets, And it's if it's retirement, it needs to be 60%, and if it's investment like stocks, it's 70%. Also, they look at retirement, like what age you're in, if you're retirement
Yeah.
age or not. So there's more limitations. Also, if we do a loan, conventional loan with Fannie Mae, they're gonna divide this 500,000 by 360 months.
Oh, the
Wow.
life of it.
Okay.
Okay.
And Freddie Mac would divide it by 240, which better than 360.
Right.
If for whatever reason this scenario is not working for a client, I'll go conventional with Freddie, which I actually recently did for someone, and it worked really well. It was just smaller loan amount. It was just
Yeah.
easier to do it that way, conventional, than this program. But if somebody needs to, we can use this method and it's just gonna work perfectly.
Yeah, I like this. This is a really great tool for you to have.
Is this for primary residence only, or can it be used for investment?
So this one is for a primary residence, and I would have to double check on that. Cut it out. I think it's primary and second home.
84 months versus 360 or 200. That's huge.
Yeah, yeah. So if somebody wants to dive into looking at this this type of loan or any kind of loan, how would they reach out to you? What would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Give me a call, 571-245-3000.
Awesome. All right. All right. Thank you so much. And we're going to get back on track with doing these mortgage minutes.
Yes,
So
every other week.
Yes, we're going to get it done. So if you guys have any questions for Tatiana, reach out to her, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
See you soon.